Hello friends, today's topic is going to be about the power of thoughts. And the video is going to be in English. The one that's going to follow this video will be in Dari language. And I'll be presenting to you my views on why I chose this topic and what do I really mean by the word power. And before I do so, let me give you a little bit of a background about my education in this very topic. My bachelor degree is in psychology from University of Minnesota with a minor in philosophy, particularly medical ethics from University of Minnesota. And also my master's degree is in healthcare administration from University of St. Mary's in Minneapolis, Minnesota. So I've done a lot of research and I've read a lot of studies in this very topic, the power of our thoughts. So let me first of all explain why I chose this topic. So the power of our thoughts. I came across this idea by reading a book, Unlimited Power, which is written by Anthony Robbins. For those of you who do not know Tony Robbins, he's a motivational speaker, an author, an entrepreneur, and also a life coach. He has many YouTube channels, YouTube videos. He's got a podcast with his wife, Becky Robbins, and he's written numerous books. And he's, like I said, he's a well-known individual around the world, particularly in North America and United States and Canada. So I'll be sharing his books or his name, Anthony Robbins, like I said, in the description below, so you can go ahead and do some research of your own if you're interested. To support my topic for today's video, the power of thought, so I'll be sharing one idea from this book, the Unlimited Power, the New Science of Personal Achievement. And the actual cover is actually this, Unlimited Power, Anthony Robbins. And I apologize, it's worn out because I've had this book for a very long time. And I refer to this book many times so that I can grasp the concept that he's discussing. And I also have a second book, which is my favorite. They're in my collections, called Awaken, the Giant Within, and Anthony Robbins. So I'll be presenting some of the concepts in these books in this video and also in the subsequent video that's going to come up, whether in Dari or in English. So the power of thoughts, the way he describes Anthony Robbins in his book, Unlimited Power, he describes power in terms of outside power or inside power. Outside world, inside world, he puts it that way. And he also differentiates between resources versus resourcefulness. So I'm going to explain what he means by that, and that's very relevant to our subject for today, the power of thoughts. So he says traditionally people tend to focus their attention on external or outside phenomena, if you will, or outside power, such as wealth, money, good career, high education, security. These are average person. If you ask him on the street, what do you want in life? He or she may say, I want happiness. But then the source of happiness, they will tend to focus, say, I have to have money, I have to have wealth. Especially those of us who live in this, the first world, if you will, the materialistic, or people who tend to focus a lot of having a good economy, which is totally fine. I'm not against it. And definitely there is power in those sources. The interesting point, I should say, is that we tend to focus our attention, our lives too much on that external resources. And then the resource such as wealth or social status or education or respect that we have from others, if those things are taken away from us, then we feel deficient, we feel lack, and we feel a low self-esteem just because the power has been taken away from us. But what Anthony Robbins argues that those individuals who feel more successful, they have more fulfillment in their lives, they have less stress, and they feel more happiness, and also love, or just peace in general. Those are the individuals who have resourcefulness. And he defines resourcefulness by having being aware of your day-to-day or moment-by-moment attitude, thoughts, and emotions. We are generally we run our lives based on the goals that we have in the external, the outside world, the accomplishments or the achievements that we want to have in our lives by pursuing certain goals. But we tend to focus that the power, the real power, actually lies within us. And that power comes from the way we think and feel. And unfortunately, this power has been overlooked, or veiled, or covered, or overshadowed, if you will, by just too much pressures or emphasis on the external resources. So again, Anthony Robbins argues that the resources versus resourcefulness, and individuals who focus on the resourcefulness, which has to do with your attitude, your thoughts, and the way you feel in the present moment, regardless of all the resources or lack of opportunities you may have, tend to have more success and fulfillment in life, as opposed to those who come from a place of emptiness or lack or deficiency. And they tend to focus too much on the external phenomena, the forces, if you will. Let me give you an example. So if you average person would tend to believe that the source of happiness is money. Now, if we step back and then see the symbol of money, we see that inherently money itself does not have a smiley face. It doesn't have the happiness that we are seeking. But the money just a symbol, or it represents what it brings us, the experiences that it brings us. Now, you might argue with me and say, it's easier for you to say. You're not right now. You live somewhere where your security is insured. Let's say you have a good job, good career, you have wealth. You haven't seen lack of opportunity. You haven't been in a system where political system is corrupt. There is inequality. There's lack of opportunity, lack of employment. How could you bring this? How could you talk to me about this power? But what I argue with this, or what Anthony Robbins argue, by the way, Anthony Robbins, he himself comes from a very impoverished background, a very dysfunctional family. His dad was an alcoholic, and he divorced his mom when he was a very young child, and he has experienced poverty. He was a janitor, and at age 17, he was homeless. So he has seen it all, and he didn't even have opportunity to finish his high school, or let alone go get his college degree or pursue higher education. But he realized this power that's within every one of us, and that has to do with the way you think and feel in this moment, that we take it for granted. And then all the opportunities could be taken away from you. But this power cannot be taken away from us. And that has to do with the power to think, the power to feel, the power to be, the power to be aware of all these thoughts and emotions and goals, and then lay out consciously, responsibly, respond as opposed to react. Generally, we react towards our life. Somebody says something, we react, which is quite normal. We react, but this is a response. It's not a reaction. It's more of a self-reliance, taking responsibility for the way you think, the way you feel, or the way you act. And then you go pursue external resources or external forces. So he's definitely not discrediting or discounting any outside power, which, like I said, good employment, wealth, social status, all the symbols you think of. But what he argues is that we shouldn't lose ourselves. We shouldn't lose our power that's inside us. That comes from the way we think, the way we feel, and the way we feel happiness. That has nothing to do with the outside or external forces. You can work with this and become responsible, and then respond as opposed to react quickly, as opposed to being absorbed in those powers which are still powerful. The external resources, what he says, resources versus resourcefulness, those are power, but we tend to lose our thoughts and emotions and feel stressed tied to those external power. But if you look back and say, no, wait, I can play with my thoughts, I can play with my emotions, and I can feel in a certain way, and then think this way, do this way, and be this way. So basically the formula is reversed. Traditionally, we tend to think, or we're raised to believe that you have to do these things, accomplish these goals, and then you're gonna feel this way, happy, joyful, peaceful, or you're gonna have love or less stress. But what the argument is, he's arguing, and it makes sense to me, and I'm articulating, and I'm getting this point, is that you're reversing the power, and you say the power, I'm gonna be thinking this way, being responsible, what's my responsibility in this moment, feel this way, and then act, and then accomplish these goals. So you're still pursuing your power outside, but then this time it's more of a relationship, more of a connection, and we're not losing ourselves, or we're not getting caught up, or we're not getting lost in the outside symbol, which is wealth, money, respect, social status, all the symbols you think of. And that's the power of thoughts. Just to summarize, hope I was able to articulate, or I was able to explain what I mean by the power of our thoughts. The power of thoughts has been taken for granted by us. We need to look back and get that power back, and feel it, that the thoughts have a huge impact on our health, the way we perceive life, perceive others, the way we pursue our goals, and also feel successful and happy. It's very powerful. And then yes, outside goals, they all have power, but they do not have the real power that's within me. Then the life, perception, all takes a different texture, different color.